He is Yao, and although he is now a fisherman earning good money risking his life in the North Sea, he used to be an elite soldier. But that was long ago. After 7 months, Yao returned to his country to reunite with his family, but a neighbor gives him terrible news. The restaurant closed over 4 months ago. The owner became addicted to drugs and now lives under the downtown bridge. Yao doesn't hear the rest of the story. Instead, he runs to the city to find his wife. In a corner under the bridge, he manages to find his beloved Nancy, who is clearly drugged and cannot recognize him. While Yao tries to get his wife out of that place, we will show you what happened. Every day, a group of traffickers would go to the restaurant for lunch, and one of them thought it was funny to put drugs in the beer and complained to Nancy by saying it was spoiled. She too proved to him that the product was good, tasted the beer, and that they had her first symptoms. The following days, the traffickers returned and kept doing the same thing, but with the food and everything else on their minds. It was fun to leave the cashier high every afternoon until she became addicted and paid them to buy them. One afternoon, while Nancy was high in the middle of the street, her daughter tried to get her help and was hit by a car. Nancy didn't even realize her daughter had died. She was too busy in the astral plane or whatever drugs do to you. Now that we are aware of past events and Yao has managed to extract some information from his wife, she runs away and climbs onto a bridge with the intention of jumping. Before Yao can convince her to come down and seek help, Nancy jumps and is hit by a truck. From his pocket came a paper with a symbol of 2 tigers, the only clue he has about the culprits of his family's death. We jump in time. 2 years will be enough to keep the interest in the story. Andu, a police officer, is leading a raid on a distribution center. The operation is a success and several traffickers are arrested, as well as half a dozen kilos of drugs being seized. As soon as Andu comes out with the evidence, a man in a suit appears, takes the backpack, and thanks him for his help, revealing that Andu is also corrupt, but he only targets traffickers who belong to the rival faction of his bosses. The man in the suit, whose name is Herta, takes the suitcase to his boss's house, a man known as Mukin, who has all the money in the world, but his health is lacking. Mukin knows that death is breathing down his neck and asks Herta to find his lost son. Only he is worthy of inheriting his empire, but Showa, Mukin's son, is a ruthless being who is currently in prison. Due to the brutality of his crimes, he has been sentenced for life. Showa is a monster. Not only has he been ruthless, but he enjoys mutilating his victims. But that's not the interesting part of the story. Do you remember Yao? He's in the same prison and with the guards' help, kills Showa and impersonates him. For now, we don't know what his plan is, but we do know that Showa is dead and Yao has done everything in his power to make his face resemble his. Then he escapes from the prison and takes a boat to the city, but the sailors turn out to be assassins and have been paid very well to kill him. After he controls the situation, a boat with police officers appears and Andu meets with him, revealing to us that Andu and Yao are partners. They plan to destroy Mukin's empire from within, and this is just the first phase of their plan. The next is to take Yao to his father's mansion. Upon arrival, he acts according to his role and behaves just as everyone expected. The first thing he does is take out one of the phones he stole from the sailors and call the only number in the memory. Suddenly, one of the phones starts ringing and he follows the noise to a jacket on the armchair. When the owner appears, Yao brutally attacks him and uses a lamp to hit him. However, in a small flashback, we see that it was Gertho who put the phone in the jacket. He is the real traitor and the one who truly wants Showa dead, since it is not convenient for Herta that his partner tries to explain it. From the phone, he takes out a weapon and executes him. The shot is heard by Mukin, who gets up to welcome his son. That night they have a party to celebrate. Mukin announces his retirement and introduces his heir, handing him a necklace that symbolizes his new leadership. The next morning, Zhao starts behaving like a true leader and asks to be taken to the supposed men who have stolen his father's product. Upon arriving at the site, Yao decides to act alone and meets Balai, who is brave and foolish enough to steal from Mukin. Yao gives himself a chance to get to know him before trying to kill him, sparking a fight with his men. But in the end, He manages to catch up to him and throws him off the edge of a building. While Belai holds on with his limited strength, we see that the same men who were supposed to protect Yao are about to kill him. But surprisingly, he returns unharmed and tells his father the mission was a success. To everyone's surprise, Belai enters with the lost drugs and hands them over to Mukin, then runs like a lapdog and stands next to Yao. Herkin draws his weapon and plans to kill him, but Yao draws his own and tells him that Belai works for him. Now Mukin is happy with his son's ability, and in the following scenes we see how the business prospers under his leadership. Belai is his loyal companion, and they do crazy things all the time, although we are still waiting for the revenge he must have planned. In the case of Andu, he is the nephew of the chief of police, but he is in love with his wife Erla. The only reason he's helping Yao is to be able to arrest his uncle and finally be with her. When he's chief of police, he can give her a decent life. They'll be together, and she won't suffer again. The next day, Yao hands Andu a folder filled with mansion plans, photos of the merchandise, deposit locations, and much more. All of this is almost enough to bring down his empire. But there's something more. Mukin has a secret office with all his money, as well as records of the transfers to the corrupt officials. If you can get that, then they will have everything in their power to put him in prison and purge the entire police department of corrupt officers. That same afternoon, Yao invites the chief of police to dinner to inform him that his monthly cut will be reduced by 30% because he wants to cause a conflict between them. Furious, Ayu, the chief of police, orders that Yao be arrested and kept locked up until he resolves this matter with his father. But while Yao was resting in the cell, Bala and his men attacked the police station with long guns and Molotov cocktails. In less than 30 seconds, the place had turned into a war zone. Dozens of armed men were about to kill everyone, just to free Yao. Ayu, on his way to the police station, calls Mukin to ask for help. But then the whole highway shakes. Andu frees Yao and takes him to the mansion, where he gains favor with Mukin for rescuing his son. However, Mukin's health is about to fail. On his deathbed, the old man reveals the location of the secret room where all the business is conducted, along with the key that has been on his necklace. Seeing that Mukin is on the verge of dying, Yao confesses to him how he murdered his son and reveals that he is an impostor who has come to destroy everything he has built. Mukin dies a few seconds later, and when Yao leaves the room, a lawyer is waiting for him to sign some papers. These papers will officially make you the owner and master of all of Mukin's assets and the leader of the criminal empire he has created. However, before Yao can sign, this happens. Jerta blows the lawyer's head off. He's furious because the old man left him nothing after 20 years of long service. So he orders his men to kill Yao, unleashing an all-out war between Yao's men and Gertha's. Fortunately for Yao, he recruited Belai, who is a complete psychopath addicted to violence and brings many like him. Managing to clear the entire garden of Hertha's men. Now only the closest ones remain, and Andu is still there to support Yao. Together they kill the rest, and Belai takes care of sending Hert to hell by running him over against a statue. With all the bad guys dead, Yao reveals everything to Andu and gives him the necklace so he can do the right thing and dismantle the drug operation. But that won't happen. Belai puts a gun to Yao's head, and it is revealed that Andu plans to keep everything and has offered Belai a big piece of the pie for his loyalty. To understand all this, we take a step back to the moment when Yao was pleading with the authorities to seek justice for his family. It was Andu who had him taken out of the police station, but Yao dropped a folder with his papers. In this folder was his military record, where it could be seen that Yao was a great fighter and was highly trained. It was at that moment that he began to devise the entire revenge plan, with the first phase being to send Yao to replace Shower in prison. Andu not only wanted to overthrow his uncle, he was tired of his miserable life with a police salary and wanted much more, which is why he planned the explosion on the highway. When his uncle got out of the car, Belai was waiting to execute him with a knife that has Yao's fingerprints. With this, he plans to lock him up for a long time, while he becomes the leader of the criminal empire and the chief of police, all at the same time. Using the information in the secret office, Andu manipulated everything to become the chief of police of the entire city, carrying out planned raids that made him look like a hero on television. However, for him, the most important thing was power, and that's why he wanted to eliminate the rest of Mukin's corrupt police officers and associates. All this by placing a bomb at his funeral. That day, Ballet placed the explosives in the chapel, along with drugs and photos of all the people who died that year because of those in that room. From a distance, Andrew detonated the explosives and sent everyone to hell. What he didn't expect was all the money in the secret room exploding, creating a shower of huge bills. This is where they reveal a new twist in the story involving Bailey, who had a sister before he became an addict. His sister was Nancy, and when she began to show symptoms of addiction, he took her to rehab. There he met Zola, the doctor on duty, with whom he fell madly in love. Together they tried to help Nancy, but they failed. Ballet wanted to marry Zoila, but she had her own problems. Her father, who was one of the few honest police officers left, was being extorted by the chief of police. He wanted Zoila and planned to marry her. When her father refused to give his daughter's hand to a corrupt man, the police chief, with the help of Mukin, planned his death. One night, when Zola returned home, she found her father's corpse in the living room. He had been injected with an overdose and had been dead all day. After this, the chief of police kidnapped her and forced her to live with him and please him as if she were his wife. It was there that Andrew met her, unaware she carried a burden of misfortunes. Zoila tried to find Balai at the time. One day she found him under the bridge, and there the fate of the three crossed paths. Yao shared his misfortunes, and soon they realized all their stories intersected. That's why Yao agrees to infiltrate the prison under Andrew's orders, because he already knew the kind of man he was through Zola, who didn't believe in his love even for one Siemens. Her heart belonged to Ballet and no one else. From the beginning, this was his plan, to destroy the drug empire and everyone who benefits from it. And why not? Give all the victims a new beginning. That day at the police station, Andrew thought that Providence had sent him a soldier trained to manipulate. But everything had already been planned by Yao, who specifically waited for him to plead for help and leave him his file. All of this was planned by Yao, but executed to perfection by all the people he managed to gather. All of them lost someone to drugs and wanted to see those responsible pay for their crimes. Nandu enters a state of fury and orders his men to kill Zola. Although Ballet tries to protect her, he falls, but they promise to meet in the afterlife. Just then she presses a button and eliminates all the men Andrew had left. Now only Yao is left to bring justice against Andrew, but she shoots him and lets him fall from the rooftop. Believing he has won, Andrew celebrates, but shortly after, a screen lights up and he learns that everything has been broadcast on national television. The deputy police chief has seen it all and gives the order for a sniper to eliminate Andrew, who is no hero, just a criminal who dishonors the uniform. In the end, the true heroes died in battle, but their lives were not in vain. The city was healed from drugs, and the government took this opportunity to eradicate the remaining minor traffickers and create programs to help those living under the bridges, who were Yao's motivation to make a change in memory of his beloved Nancy and daughter. And that's how this great movie ends. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and thanks for